Why do they keep ignoring how I feel? My frustration from the day before was still burning, so when I spoke to them, my words came out sharper than I intended. Their reaction? We're just clearing the space in the room. It's going to be a great new room for Emily. They brushed off everything I had mentioned the day before and went ahead with moving my stuff out without my consent. Have you forgotten what I said yesterday? Please stop doing this right now. Abigail, remember your place. I'm the one paying the rent here. What authority do you have to challenge my decisions? Oliver retorted, his tone laced with disdain. Emily, standing by his side, had a pleased look on her face. I'm the one footing the bills. You haven't pitched in at all, so you don't get a say. If you can't support my decisions, perhaps we should consider separating. My name is Abigail, a 28-year-old who's always on the go with my corporate job, married to Oliver for 4 years. He's seen as a promising talent in his workplace, constantly pushing himself to meet lofty goals. We live in a nicely updated house that's reasonably roomy, picked out when we were dreaming of a future with children. Despite the roller coaster of our relationship, we've managed to talk through our issues, and I thought we were content. But one day, coming home later than normal because of work, I noticed a woman's coat at the entrance, one I didn't recognize. Walking into the living room, I was met by Emily, my sister-in-law, who said, "Ah, Abigail, it's been a while. You were late, so we started without you." Emily, 24, Oliver's younger sister, has always been a point of contention between us. Despite her success academically and professionally, she took pleasure in belittling me, often slipping in demeaning remarks. Despite my attempts to overlook her jabs, Emily's boldness grew. Fed up, I decided it was best to distance myself from her, but that wasn't the only issue. Oliver's attitude toward me also contributed to the strain. Oliver is usually thoughtful and gentle when it's just us. However, his demeanor shifts when Emily is around, becoming dismissive and harsh. I'm unsure if he's trying to impress his sister, but he treats me poorly. Despite my repeated objections, Oliver's behavior remained unchanged. With Emily also questioning my late work hours, the situation became unbearable. Staying late at work again, Abigail? I always finish my tasks on time. Are you finding it hard to keep up, or are you just slow? Emily's words, sharper and more direct than usual, were amplified by her tipsiness. Handling Emily's jabs on a regular day was one thing, but when Oliver, her brother, and my husband joined in with a few drinks in him, the situation escalated to a whole new level of discomfort. Let's be fair, Emily. Not everyone has a knack for efficiency. Some of us have to put in extra hours just to reach what comes naturally to us. It's not fair to hold everyone to our high standards. You're right, my apologies, Abigail. I think I was being too harsh. No need for apologies, Emily. You're incredible, and that's just the truth. The Oliver who stood before me now seemed like a stranger, joining Emily in belittling me. Despite my urge to retaliate, I chose to plaster a smile on my face, hoping to keep the peace. Eventually, Emily decided to leave just before midnight. The thought of cleaning up after them, especially when I wasn't the one who made the mess, was daunting. Yet since it was our home, I felt the responsibility to tidy up. Oliver, without any concern, instructed me to clean up as he headed to bed. It's late. I'm off to bed, Abigail. You take care of cleaning this up. At that point, my patience wore thin. Why am I expected to clean everything by myself? The mess was yours and Emily's doing, so you should be the ones cleaning it. Isn't it odd that you assume I'll do it? Oliver seemed surprised by my assertiveness, but doubled down, insisting on me doing the cleanup. I bring in more money, you know. Don't talk back when you earn less. If you can't accept that, maybe we should consider ending things. Why are we even talking about money right now? That's completely irrelevant. You should be cleaning up after yourself. And bringing up divorce over such a trivial matter, Oliver, isn't that a bit extreme? Just shut up and clean. It's your responsibility, he declared, making his stance clear before heading to the bedroom. Despite feeling unjustly burdened, I ended up tidying up alone, and by the next morning, Oliver's mood had not improved. I knew that attempting to talk things out might only add fuel to the fire, so I chose to keep my distance. Despite my eagerness to mend fences with Oliver, we both left for the day without addressing our disagreement. That evening, as I returned home, feeling the weight of both my professional and personal turmoil, I knew something had to give. The tension with Oliver needed to be resolved sooner rather than later. I was ready to extend an olive branch, prepared to apologize regardless of his stance, aiming for reconciliation. With this resolution in mind, I opened the door, only to be greeted by the sight of that same coat from the night before. The familiar sounds of voices from the living room hinted that history was repeating itself. Not again, I thought, dreading another encounter. My fears were confirmed upon entering the living room. There was Emily once again, alongside Oliver, creating a mess as they enjoyed their drinks. Thanks for always working late, Abigail. We got started without you since you're never around, Emily remarked, her tone dripping with sarcasm. My intention to reconcile with Oliver was strong, but Emily's presence made it seem like an insurmountable task. It felt as if she was deliberately obstructing any chance of us clearing the air, yet my concerns seemed invisible to them. Oliver chimed in with a sarcastic jab of his own. We had to start without you since you're always late. Can't you manage to come home earlier? The blame they placed on me was based on expectations we never discussed. Moments before, I was determined to resolve things with Oliver, but now, my resolve waned swiftly. Why am I even bothering so much with them? This question started to echo in my mind, signaling a shift in my perspective. Caught off guard by Oliver's bombshell, my emotions hit a boiling point. Wait a minute, what are you talking about? This is the first I've heard of Emily moving in. Can you explain? Oliver, taken aback by my strong reaction, quickly slipped back into his dismissive attitude, bolstered by Emily's presence. Yes, it's news to you because I'm only just mentioning it. And yes, Emily will be staying with us. What about her husband? Are they moving in together? Upon mentioning her husband, I was met with, "Oh, you mean her ex-husband?" Ex-husband. This was news to me. The pieces started to fall into place, albeit confusingly. Emily had recently ended her marriage, and with her ex out of the picture and her lease ending, Oliver saw this as the perfect setup. Why wouldn't you discuss something so significant with me first? My trust in Oliver dwindled as he unilaterally made this decision and chose to inform me in such a casual, inebriated manner. As I pressed Oliver for answers, Emily observed with smug satisfaction. Just go with it, Abigail. It's a done deal. No, I cannot accept this. What do you mean, Abigail? Oliver was visibly shocked by my refusal. I refuse to let Emily move in with you. You're the one crossing the line, Oliver, I asserted, fixing a stern look on both of them. Whatever you two are plotting, I want no part of it. You need to sober up and think this through. Instead of resolving our conflict, I withdrew to a different room, isolating myself as I had the day before. The following morning was disrupted by a commotion. Opening my bedroom door, I peered down the hallway to find Oliver and Emily cavalierly handling my belongings. What are you two doing? My frustration from the previous day amplified my response. We're clearing out your things from this room. It's spacious and perfect for Emily. Makes sense, doesn't it? They continued to disregard my objections, moving my items without my permission. Did you forget our conversation from yesterday? Enough of this, seriously. And Abigail, just where do you think you stand in this? I'm the one covering the rent here. What gives you the right to challenge my decisions? Oliver snapped back, his voice dripping with disdain, as Emily looked on with a self-satisfied smirk. I'm footing the bills, so your opinion, without contributing financially, is irrelevant. If you're not willing to fall in line, perhaps we should consider ending our marriage. The word divorce struck me like a bolt from the blue. Divorce? He can't be serious. What is Oliver even saying? I was dumbstruck, unable to grasp his harsh words. Emily, mistaking my silence for surrender, added fuel to the fire. Do you even grasp your situation, Abigail? You haven't contributed financially, so your stance holds no weight. Why continues this charade? You're only embarrassing yourself now. Any remaining fondness I had for these siblings evaporated in an instant. I was done with them. That much was crystal clear. Let's move this discussion to the living room, I suggested, hoping to shift the environment. They grumbled, but eventually agreed when I mentioned making coffee. After handing them their drinks, I turned to Oliver. I've been clear since yesterday. I never approved of Emily moving in. I want her things packed up immediately. What are you even saying? I've repeated myself over and over. I pay the rent, so my word is the law here. If you can't accept that, then maybe divorce is our only option. Are you fine with that? You keep mentioning you pay the rent, that this is your house, but Oliver, do you truly believe that? I asked. Obviously. What kind of question is that? He retorted. This house belongs to me. What? Are you making things up because you're upset? He questioned incredulously. No, there's no fabrication here. This house was left to me by my father. After he passed, it became my property. I am, in fact, the owner. Does that clarify things for you? His skepticism persisted. You're lying. If it was built by your dad, shouldn't it be old by now? Ever heard of renovations, Oliver? My dad had this house completely renovated before his hospitalization. It looks new because of that. I never mentioned it before because it happened before we were married. The once bold and assertive demeanor they both displayed had vanished, leaving a heavy silence in its wake. Yet, I wasn't finished. With so much already said, I felt compelled to lay everything out on the table, whether or not they understood. My patience had reached its limit. Even if you think you're paying rent, Oliver, you're not. What you've been covering are our shared living costs, not rent for this house. At this point, why would I bother lying? You've never involved yourself in the housing paperwork, so you've been oblivious. Do you even have any idea what the going rate for rent is around here? You're just making a fool of yourself. In light of that, I'll take over the rent payments from now. Are you in a position to afford that, Mr. Unemployed? His confusion was apparent. Unemployed? What are you implying, Oliver? It seems you've been less than prudent with your decisions lately, incurring significant losses, right? You might have thought you were being discreet, but your workplace is well aware. Expect to hear from them after the weekend. They likely assumed it was a secret. Oliver was visibly disturbed by my revelations. How? Why do you know this? His voice was barely above a whisper, a mix of shock and disbelief. I've kept it under wraps, but your employer is a part of my family's business network. They've been lenient until now, but it seems your actions have crossed a line. The decision has been made to let you go, and they informed me first due to the impact on our household. Oliver sank into an uncharacteristic silence. Emily, having overheard our conversation, appeared equally unsettled. Wait, are you saying Oliver is going to be let go? And this house is actually Abigail's? Then what about me? Where will I stay next month? Her panic was evident. I've already terminated my lease, she added, almost as an afterthought. Whether her questions were meant for me or Oliver, it was clear she was trying to come to terms with the sudden shift in circumstances. This house belongs to me, and for the time being, I'm the one who decides who stays and who goes. I've reached my limit, Oliver. I'm taking you up on your offer for a divorce. There's no turning back now. And just so we're clear, Emily, I have no plans to cohabitate with you either. Your living arrangements for the upcoming month are your concern, not mine. I'd prefer if both of you would exclude me from your plans. Whether my words were fully absorbed by them or not, I had made my stance clear. The ball was in their court, and I was washing my hands of their issues. Please return my belongings to their original places. After that, I'd like you to gather your things and leave. I can't bear the thought of seeing either of you again. By the day's end, I had managed to remove them from my house. The last time I saw them was just before I handed everything over to my lawyers to ensure the separation process was handled without any confrontations. Oliver didn't protest much, likely realizing he had no ground to stand on. This acceptance on his part facilitated a straightforward divorce process. I later learned that they both returned to living with their parents. The fallout for Oliver was significant, saddled with a hefty financial burden from our settlement and additional repercussions from his professional missteps. He's now working tirelessly to settle his debts. Meanwhile, I'm embracing a peaceful existence in the home my father left me, cherishing this newfound solitude and freedom, and planning to make the most of it for the foreseeable future.